Good evening, glad that you are watching your favorite channel, TV47, on the news tonight. Tonight, the Pandora question is still on. President Kenyattas' allies defend him in the controversial Pandora Papers expose. Also tonight, day 2 of mass voter registration records low turnout as politicians call on their supporters to register in large numbers.
Kenya malipote wako washike kura na watoke asubuhi na mapema washike kura mapema. Plus, businessman who allegedly shot and injured 2 police officers at a club in Kasarani, Nairobi, is still languishing in prison after he failed to raise a cash bail of 5 million shillings. And Wairimu is our sign language interpreter. Good evening, I'm Abubakar Abdullahi. Welcome to the broadcast. Now, details into the financial dealings of powerful and prominent leaders across the globe, including President Uhuru Kenyattas, have emerged in what has become a global sensation, the Pandora Papers. A less taken financial route preserved for the world's wealthiest, who stash billions of shillings in offshore accounts in tax havens. While President Kenyatta says he can account for the family's offshore billions associated with 13 firms, economists tonight say it's not all offshore accounts that are used for dubious means and in fact illegal in most countries. Musa Salah begins our broadcast tonight.
Details of President Uhuru Kenyattas' offshore family accounts were on Sunday brought to light in an expose by the International Consortium of Investigative Journalists through a global data leak that has come to be known as the Pandora Papers, a collection of more than 11.9 million financial records from over 14 law firms and other service providers in tax havens such as the United Arab Emirates, Panama and Singapore. The leak shows more than 214,000 offshore accounts implicating at least 140 politicians and public officials from around the world. But for Kenyans, the Pandora Papers mean proceeds of corruption, a notion that economists refute but cannot rule out.
It's an account like any other account that we hold around here, and therefore there is nothing illegal in having an offshore account. And one of the challenges with some of those accounts which are not illegal is that they are mostly used for other dubious businesses, and that is why you see that there is a lot of hue and cry when we hear that maybe our president has an offshore account.
African leaders have often been accused of stashing billions of shillings in foreign countries, a syndrome most financial experts believe is tied to the uncertainty and political stability of most African countries. According to the Pandora Papers, a UBP lawyer by the name Othman Naim asked offshore account specialists in Panama to help register a new foundation, the Varis Foundation, in July 2003, a month after young Kenyatta defended his political master and former President Daniel Moi from a mega corruption scandal. The opposition, led by former President Mwai Kibaki, had just come into power and launched a probe into allegations that Moi and his inner circle embezzled more than 221 billion shillings during his 24-year presidency. The foundation, just like a trust, was designed to manage and shelter wealth for its beneficiaries, who, according to draft bylaws of 2003, list Uhuru Kenyattas and his mother Ngina Kenyatta as the beneficiaries. According to the documents, UBP also helped manage another foundation for Uhuru's brother, Uhuru Kenyattas, these being just 2 of the 13 offshore firms President Uhuru Kenyattas says the family can account for.
Most of the times, politicians, especially from Africa, will have them because they look at their countries and think that they are not stable. and therefore they would want their wealth to be held or their money to be held in stable accounts, such that if there is any problem, they would still not be able to lose everything. I think those are some of the things that actually pushes some of the presidents and some of the state officers who have some of these accounts from especially African countries to have some of the accounts.
In tax havens like Panama, the true owners of the assets are not required to register their names with the Panamanian government. According to invoices to the bank, the Swiss advisors refer to the Kenyattas with the codename Client 13173. Other details remain confidential to the lawyers, and any breach of confidentiality attracts a jail term of up to 6 months, a secrecy that opens doors for well-connected criminals across the globe.
Actually, that is a big challenge. Most of the reason as to why it is becoming a big issue is that secrecy that people open some of these accounts and they do not do as per what they are supposed to do. And if they were hidden or they were purported to be hidden, then it means that maybe he was not declaring them or not. But I think the question should be to know whether he has been declaring that he has some of those accounts.
While offshore accounts are often associated with financial crimes, such as money laundering and tax evasion, the expensive venture is an avenue for tasteful investments, giving potential investors a seat at the global arena.
A multi-currency capability of you doing businesses with different currencies. Actually, you can trade forex in different countries. You can go to different stock exchanges in the world and do business outside there. You can have properties and be paid using some of those offshore accounts. You can even invest in bonds and also some fixed deposit accounts in some of those offshore accounts, and they earn interest.
President Kenyatta, however, says the reports will go a long way in enhancing the financial transparency and openness that is required in Kenya and around the globe. The head of state further notes that the Pandora Papers and subsequent follow-up audits will lift the veil of secrecy and darkness for those who cannot explain their assets or wealth. Musa Salah, TV 47.
Well, still on the Pandora Papers, the global investigation has exposed the secret offshore wealth of world leaders and celebrities, collectively worth trillions of dollars, labeled the Pandora Papers. The leak exposes the financial and assets data of those implicated in the expose by the International Consortium of Investigative Journalists. A majority of those mentioned have been accused of stashing their wealth in the offshore accounts to evade paying tax in their countries.
King Abdullahi II of Jordan amassed property worth millions of US dollars and is said to have purchased 14 homes worth more than 106 million US dollars in the United Kingdom and United States through front companies registered in tax havens. The properties include apartments in central London and Washington District of Columbia. The Pandora Papers claim the Prime Minister of the Czech Republic, Andrej Babi, secretly moved 22 million US dollars through offshore companies to purchase an estate on the French Riviera in 2009 before engaging in politics. Former United Kingdom Prime Minister Tony Blair and his wife Cherie Blair are reported to have avoided paying 423,000 US dollars in stamp duty when they bought a townhouse in London. Celebrities mentioned in the Pandora Papers include musician Shakira, Elton John, former Indian cricket captain Sachin Tendulkar, and Ringo Starr.
Moving on, the ongoing voter registration exercise continues to witness low numbers in many stations as political leaders call on their supporters to register. And as Josh Onsare now reports, the exercise was disrupted in a station in Nairobi's Umoja Estate.
The mass voter registration exercise entered its second day with several stations recording a handful of Kenyans who turned up for an exercise targeting 6 million new voters. A low turnout was witnessed in many counties, with the IEBC officials optimistic to hit the target in 30 days.
Hapa tumeregister 3 people so far. But at least we are getting people wanauliza kama waweze kutransfer kutoka polling station moja kwenda polling station nyingine.
The Deputy President William Ruto has appealed to the youth to register as voters. Ruto met grassroots leaders from Transmara and Uhuru Kenyattas in Kilgoris, Narok County to popularize his presidential bid.
Jana wa Kenya wanataka nafasi ya ajira, wanataka nafasi ya biashara, wanataka nafasi ya wawe wakulima na wafugaji na wawe na pesa mfukoni.
Kuna registration inaendelea ya IEBC. Vijana wetu ambao hawana voters cards, tafadhali mjitokeze mufanye registration ya IEBC.
MPs and other leaders across the country have called on all politicians to rally behind young people yet to register as voters to do so in the ongoing mass voter registration.
The waiting card is also a government document. And once you've done the waiting card, your fingerprints have been taken. Once your fingerprints have been taken, they enter the national registry. So it's very easy to establish that this is a bona fide Kenyan and they should be allowed to register.
Kiongozi mbaya uchaguliwa na watu wazuri ambao kwamba hawapigi kura. So watu lazima waweze kujitokeza kwa wingi.
The political parties find this as an opportunity to ensure that they have got more members, more of their members registered as voters.
I have officially transferred my vote from Shikulu Primary School in Likuyani constituency within Kakamega County to Hospital Hill Primary School within Parklands/High Ridge Ward.
Nataka niwaambie wa Kenya mahali popote wako washike kura na watoke asubuhi na mapema washike kura mapema.
Nothing stops the Independent and Electoral Boundaries Commission from having a returning officer in each of Kenya's foreign missions and embassies abroad, albeit periodically or even through secondment, to deal with the issue of diaspora voter registration.
Tutafute kadi ya kura. Numbers speak volume. Central huwa inatushindia kwa sababu Central wanapiga kama block.
In Umoja 1, Nairobi County, things were different. More than 500 youth and women turned up for the exercise that was, however, disrupted by goons.
Friday tutarudia kuosha hii mji tena, tuandamane watu chape njiani tukenda kuchukua kura.
Nikawa wametumwa na Roro juu wamekuja akisema team Roro na wamekuja na motorbikes and they had some canes, walikuwa wanatoa watu reflectors.
The electoral body targets to register at least 6 million new voters, majority of whom are those who attained the age of 18 since 2017 or those who attained the legal voting age by 2017 and failed to register to participate in the 2017 general election. According to IEBC, every ward will have 3 biometric voter registration kits, with those who registered as voters in 2017 polls expected to verify their details in the voters register in a similar exercise set to begin soon. Joash Onsare, TV 47.
Elsewhere, ODM Secretary General Edwin Sifuna has defended the Azimio la Umoja clarion call launched by his party leader Raila Odinga, saying it's aimed at breaking tribal barriers that have made the country lag behind over the years. Sifuna says the country now needs a leadership that will unite everyone regardless of their tribe, gender or physical appearance. Speaking at Chungwa House today, where he hosted a delegation of 100 small-scale traders from Nyeri County, Sifuna said the party has embarked on a program to woo people from the Mount Kenya region. Sifuna says Odinga has been on the forefront in agitating for incentives that will benefit the people of Mount Kenya, saying that the Building Bridges Initiative bill had a lot of goodies for the region.
Mko katika chama thabiti na ni chama ambayo kinapigania kitu kimoja muhimu, ambayo ni umoja wa Wakenya. Hiyo ndio message ambayo baba yetu amekuwa akihubiri tangu
ni kuongoza hiyo ground. Anawaambia watu wetu, mimi kama kiongozi, Mungu amenipa uongozi, mimi naona hii ndio barabara ambayo tunatakiwa tufuate, vile ambavyo Uhuru Kenyattas ameonyesha nyinyi njia ya kufuata, vile ambavyo Raila Odinga ameonyesha sisi njia ya kufuata. Yeye alienda akafanya handshake na president, sisi bado unajua tulikuwa bado tumeshikilia misimamo yetu mikali. Akakuja tukakaa hapa akatuelezea sisi wote viongozi wa ODM. Akatuambia boss, hii vitu si kitu ya chuki, si kitu ya hasira. Hii inchi ikichomeka leo, wewe utakuwa president ya nini? Wewe unataka kuwa president ya majivu? Si lazima inchi ikuwe ndio useme wewe ni kiongozi wa inchi. Na kama inchi hakuna, unaongoza nini? Kama watu hawako, unaongoza nani? So yeye akasema ataenda kushikana mkono na Mheshimiwa Uhuru Kenyattas. Na sisi tumemuunga mkono.
Elsewhere, the suspect behind the killing of a 25-year-old woman in Nyali has finally been arrested. Suleiman Mayanja, a Ugandan national who entered the country last month through the Busia border point, was busted by detectives. Maria Mwacharo reports.
The suspect has been identified as Suleiman Mayanja, who's said to be a Ugandan national. The suspect in the killing of a 25-year-old woman is said to have entered the country last month through the Busia border point and was busted by detectives at the Nyali Cinemax, where he was hiding. Mayanja had sent a runner to collect his belongings from the room which he had booked on September 30th when detectives pounced on him. Unknown to the runner, who is a cab driver, undercover cops had laid an ambush in the apartment.
Between the members of the public and the officers of the force or the service rather, wameweza kupata huyo mwanamume na wakamshika, lakini ni wa inchi jirani. Alikuwa amekuja hapa kwetu kujirembesha tu ama kujiendelesha tu kusikia maraha zake. Basi huyu girlfriend wake alimjoin kitu saa 2 usiku jana. Nao wakati wamekaa kwa muda mrefu hivyo, ikifika saa 9:30 hapo ndio walianza kukorofishana na mwanamume akamtupa huyo msichana nje.
He was immediately seized and after a few minutes of interrogation, whisked to a waiting police hatchback that sped towards the suspect's hideout. The Nyali-based sleuths had established that the suspect, who came into the country on September 1st, and the deceased were not known to each other previously. They had met a day before at a popular joint where they had made merry and imbibed a few drinks. Mayanja was smitten by the woman from Western Kenya, who was described as charming and outgoing by her friends. Sunday's meeting was their second. The deceased had joined Mayanja in the rented apartment before she met her demise. Her half-dressed body was discovered by the apartment's guard.
Ashtakiwa na mada kwa sababu kitendo cha kutupa mtu kutoka katika 30 floor almost 75 meters higher. Obviously utajua tu atafanya nini? Atakufa.
According to police, a postmortem awaits confirmation after identification from the victim's family. Maria Mwacharo, TV47, Mombasa County.
Well, from the seaside city of Mombasa, you are watching the county's television. Time for us to take a short break here on TV47 News Tonight. Stay with us. We still have a lot lined up for you.
You are
Oh, hi guys. Sorry, you found me 5 minutes before I started recording, but anyway, so most of you have been asking me why I started Lady CLC Nighting with Joy Rongo. I have also had my own share of pain. I know how it feels to want to give up. This is basically here to speak hope and inspire somebody who's going through a rough patch, to tell them that they can turn their pain into power. Our guests are normally here to share their experiences so that you can know somebody else did it, so you can also come out of it stronger and better. Let me go to my recording, and remember to always stay tuned every Saturday at 8:30 p.m.
undertaking husband duties on a boyfriend tender.
Guys, with bromance, do you share your woman with the bro? Have a sister? Give me your sister. I show you how these things are done. So you go release and be like,
Men supporting each other, not only financially, but also socially.
Don't mingle with women you can't deal with.
Is there really a formula for dating and marriage?
Some men are procreational, some men are recreational.
Every Wednesday on TV47, the Men's Conference brings you a cocktail of top-notch advice to breed alpha males for alpha females in the society.
Tunaweza tumia hii tenje tutesiwe do.
Mimi naitwa Ben, mimi ndo rafiki ya babako.
Tumeleta dozi zako usimize mtoto.
And now we have to deal with a drug addict.
Yaani ulio mzai wako. I had to.
Sema! Dozi zangu ziko wapi?
Ben! Tuishini Uganda.
The road to 2022 is becoming tougher and trickier with each passing day.
Na wawache kuja kutuletea makasiriko.
Welcome back to TV47 News tonight. Let's get to more news. And the body of a 26-year-old taxi driver has been dumped in a sugarcane plantation in Nandi County with serious injuries just days after he was abducted by people who approached him posing as clients in Kakamega County. Violet Auma reports from Kakamega.
It's been a 3-day search of Ibrahim Omodo, a taxi driver in Kakamega town who was abducted on Friday last week.
Kaniambia kuna watu wameniita KCB hapo na kuna mtu anasema mwa connect na mimi kazi ya harusi. Tuende unione kwa hao watu. Kweli niliingia kwa gari tukazunguka na yeye hivi Somken, tukaenda na yeye paka hapo KCB. Mama alikuwa mmoja, wanaume walikuwa wawili. Mwanaume mmoja akakaa mbele, mama akakaa nyuma pande ya right, mwanaume mwingine akakaa nyuma hapa pande ya left.
According to his colleagues, the 26-year-old left with the said clients at around 4 p.m. last Friday.
Mtu akampigia simu kuja uende hii kazi. Akakuwa na wasiwasi sana. Lakini akaenda. Akasema anaenda kazi ya harusi. Sasa Saidi akampigia simu saa 2. Akasema ako Ahero. Sasa hapo ndio tukumuona.
Kuna CCTV cameras. Nafikiri uchunguzi inaweza kuanzia pale. At least kama watu wanaweza kupatikana kwa kamera. Kwa sababu hilo gari lilienda pale na hao pia walikuwa hapo, kama tunaweza kuanzia pale.
Ule mtu ambaye alipigia huyu Ibrahim simu, serikali sasa hizi ingetakana iwe imepata hizo calls. Imejua ni nani ambaye alimpigia, because huyu kijana alipigiwa simu na akachukua hao watu.
Little did they know that the duo who pretended to be customers heading to Chemelil for a wedding will be their friend's assailant.
Ukiangalia scene of crime, wameingia pale ndani, wakareverse gari, wakaweka hiyo mwili hapo. Hao sio watu wageni, na unaona wamezunguka all the way, wameenda wametokea Webuye, wakaenda Malaba, wakaingia Tororo.
His body was found tied up with a rope and dumped in a sugarcane plantation in Chemelil area.
Hata nikazungumza na yeye saa 3 ya usiku. Kamwambia unarudi, akaniambia baba mimi nitarudi. Hakurudi tena.
Taxi operators in Kakamega now say they fear for their lives since there has been escalating cases of car theft within Kakamega town.
Kulingana na vile gari zinaibwa na vile zinawashwa, we cannot rule out a syndicate ambayo ni moja ya wale watu ambao tunakaa nao, kwa sababu ni kama hao wanachukua kifunguu ama wanaendesha gari ya mtu, wanafanya duplicate hiyo kifunguu, wanawasha, alafu wanangoja hiyo gari kiwa parking, wanaiba, wanaenda nayo, because hawavunji kioo, hawafanyi anything.
Kakamega Deputy OCPD Daniel Mukumbu said investigations are on top gear.
Baadaye gari lilitokewa ikaonekana ilikuwa tayari imeshafukishwa upande wa Uganda, nchi jirani.
kuonyesha kuwa ilikuwa iko na wale watu walikuwa wamekomboa, walikuwa ni watu ambao walikuwa ni wezi. Baada kidogo iligunduliwa kuwa driver ya hiyo gari alikuwa ameuawa upande wa Nandi na ametupwa katika shamba la miwa. Kutoka hapo ndio polisi sasa iliwasiliana na wenzao kutoka upande wa Uganda. Ndio gari ikatrakiwa, ikafuatwa, ikashikwa. Wakati gari mahali ilipatikana ikiwa na watu wawili, mwanamke na mwanaume, ambao wakati karibu kufikiwa na polisi walishuka kwa hiyo gari, wakaitupa na wakakimbia, wakaiwacha hapo.
Violet Auma, TV47, Kakamega.
Elsewhere, lack of coordination among several authorities in the Ministry of Housing has been cited as the main reason that leads to collapsed buildings in the country. This was revealed during a meeting between different government authorities in the sector and the National Assembly's Committee on Transport and Housing, which is investigating cases. And as Elizabeth Mutuku now reports, 21 people have died in a span of 6 months.
Together. So that is where the gap has happened, but we are definitely going to go backwards into the history and we are going to address them.
Because Honorable, I would say,
in a span of 6 months, 21 people have died, while scores have been injured and maimed in the series of collapsed buildings in the country. This was revealed before the National Assembly Committee on Transport and Housing, which met stakeholders to shed light on rise of cases of collapsing of buildings in the country. The committee chairman, David Kosing, lamented that the authorities in the Ministry of Housing have failed on the mandate, urging them to tighten the grip in ensuring adherence of measures.
Whether they have a record, we also want to see a record from Council of Governors in monitoring their counties, whether they know this. And therefore, you can add on this, you can also make clarifications so that we can now eventually go to the way forward. So let me start with NCA. What happened NCA that we lost and Oqueto? What happened that we lost these 21 people when we are here? Are you aware of this?
The committee pointed fingers on the ministry and the Council of Governors for lack of coordination, which has contributed majorly to failure of holding responsible the engineers and contractors behind the collapsed buildings.
Make good designs, do the best calculation, but the owners, because they don't want to pay you, they make sure that after you have forgotten, they start changing things. They do it their own way, so the building collapses. We also find within our one of our finding, honorable members, is you would find that a building has been designed, done to the standards, then the owner either out of greed or lack of safety for others, they decided to add other floors. That has actually been one of the major. Then there is also inadequate maintenance because, honorable members, whereas we have a maintenance policy in Kenya, we've never been able to have it monitored properly.
90% of the buildings in Easterns have not been approved. Neither did they have any consultants overseeing their coming up. So this problem, I think, is a little bit far beyond what we are discussing here. Because even when you talk about the county governments, the NCA, the Engineering Institution of Kenya, and the other authorities, one point we must point here, we don't have the capacity. That's the truth of the matter.
National Construction Authority Chief Executive Officer Marisa Kech assured the Parliamentary Committee that all efforts have been put in place to ensure such cases are not witnessed. Kech blamed building owners for probable cause of collapsed buildings, saying majority of them didn't seek permit from the relevant authorities before mounting their buildings.
NCA already wrote to the DPP and the DCI for further investigations on this matter. Recommendation number 2, NCA recommends the prosecution of the developer again on carrying out the works without obtaining the requisite approvals. Again, we already did a letter to DPP and DCI on that. Number 3 recommendation, the third recommendation is that the NCA suspended the contractor who was carrying out that work, which was not registered, for a period of 3 years.
from March 2020. So the contractor will be reinstated 3 years after the conclusion of this inquiry. So it's now suspended and is not expected to practice as such until the suspension is lifted. Technical report that's done by geotechnical engineers. So to that extent, Kenyans should not have any fear. What they need to look out for is the right professionals to ensure that they have the right design so that they have safe buildings when they are constructed. Thank you.
That's a very important thing because there's a lot of fear in Nairobi.
Elizabeth Mutuko, TV47.
Moving on, there was a standoff at the Nyandarua County Assembly for the better part of the day as leadership wrangled, spitting and battled Speaker Ndegwa Wahome and MCAs opposed to his leadership renewed. Mike Kagongo has the details.
Licha ya kubanduliwa na baadhi ya wawakilishi wa
Well, we apologize for that mix-up. Mike Kagongo's story will be coming on your way shortly. Now, Kenyans working in Saudi Arabia have pleaded with the government to intervene and help them come back home safely. This as rights body Haki Africa called on the government to close the Saudi Arabia embassy in protest. Faith Weru reports.
Cases of brutality among Kenyans working in Saudi Arabia have been on the rise in the recent past. The family of Mary Wanjiru Mbugua, who left the country for Saudi Arabia in February 2021, now wants the government to intervene and help in bringing her home following claims of maltreatment from her employers.
Na ikafika mahali mwajiri wake akamchapa, na katika video call ukimwangalia tukaona hayuko hali mzuri na tukawapigia.
They say their efforts to bring her home have been futile since Wanjiru did not even have a chance to attend her mother's burial.
Na tunataka tu mtoto wetu arudi nyumbani juu kutoka mwezi wa 6 anataka kurudi na hajarudi.
I don't know if Leah spoke about it. They lost their mom, but Mary didn't have a chance to come home.
It's the same case with a different script. The family of Brandy Wakulele Loku, who left Kenya on 25th of November 2019, now wants the government to intervene and bring their king back home. Wakulele, through the family members, claims her employers overwork her and constantly subject her to inhumane treatment. However, her efforts to come back home remain futile. Such cases, as well as the 89 Kenyans who have died in Saudi Arabia, is what has pushed the human rights group Haki Africa to action.
I think 89 Kenyans wamekufa Saudia. Na tunaambiwa kuwa wamekufa kwa sababu ya cardiac arrest. So tunauliza serikali wanasubiri pia hawa ambao wako stranded in Saudia pia waje wakiwa in coffins.
Haki Africa says the cases are rapidly increasing and the agents that took those Kenyans to Saudi Arabia remain silent.
And I can tell you for free, because I'm the one who will, once we receive the cases to from the family, we'll call these agencies. They are very rude, very rude, very rude. Because wanatuambia wao Kenya walitaka kwenda Saudia, so sisi tuwafanye nini? You see, it stops at wakiwapeleka.
They now want the government to close the Saudi Arabia embassy and take a quick action to help those Kenyans.
Serikali yeke mikakati kwa nchi ya kupatia Wakenya kazi. Kama haiwezi patia Wakenya kazi, then yeke mikakati wherever they are going. Unaonaga nchi zingine, if their citizens are here, there are mechanisms, safety protection measures in place.
Faith Weru, TV47.
Thank you, Faith Weru, for that report. Time for us to take another short break here on TV47 News Tonight. Stay with us.
Oh, hi guys. Sorry, you found me 5 minutes before I started recording, but anyway, so most of you have been asking me why I started Lady CLC Nighting with Joy Rongo. I have also had my own share of pain. I know how it feels to want to give up. This is basically here to speak hope and inspire somebody who's going through a rough patch, to tell them that they can turn their pain into power. Our guests are normally here to share their experiences so that you can know somebody else did it, so you can also come out of it stronger and better. Let me go to my recording, and remember to always stay tuned every Saturday at 8:30 p.m.
Undertaking husband duties on a boyfriend tender.
Guys, with bromance, do you share your woman with the bro?
Have a sister? Give me your sister. I show you how these things are done.
So you go release and be like,
Men supporting each other, not only financially, but also socially.
Don't mingle with women you can't deal with.
Is there really a formula for dating and marriage?
Some men are procreational, some men are recreational.
Every Wednesday on TV47, the Men's Conference brings you a cocktail of top-notch advice to breed alpha males for alpha females in the society.
Tunaweza tumeite nje tutesiwe do.
Mimi naitwa Ben. Mimi ndo rafiki ya babako.
Tumeleta dozi zako usimize mtoto.
And now we have to deal with a drug addict.
Yaani ulio mzee wako. I had to.
Sema! Dozi zangu ziko wapi?
Ben! Tuishini Uganda.
The road to 2022 is becoming tougher and trickier with each passing day.
Na wawache kuja kutuletea makasiriko.
Political aspirants in a dilemma whether to change allegiance or not.
Nonetheless, you have justified your change of stance.
It's my bloody personal politics.
Tell them this. They could have gone to do law so that they become judges. They do not have the capacity, training, or skill to interpret a court order.
Welcome back. Thank you for staying with us. Now, there was a standoff at the Nyandarua County Assembly for the better part of the day as leadership wrangles pit in and battled Speaker Ndegwa Wahome and MCAs opposed to his leadership renewed. Mike Kagwongo has the details.
Shortly before 9 a.m. Tuesday, Speaker Ndegwa Wahome arrived, ready to resume his duties in the Nyandarua County Assembly after he was shown the door by members, but moved to court to challenge the move, citing lack of legality in the ouster process. The efforts to gain access despite heavy presence of security officers were unsuccessful, as members opposed to him, led by leader of majority Waboko King'ori, stayed put that they will not allow him, terming him a stranger, to preside over the business of the day.
Kama speaker hayuko ambaye tuliweza kumimpeach mwaka uliopita na deputy speaker hayuko, ule mtu anaendeleza sitting ya bunge ni first chairperson, na kwa hivyo deputy speaker, kama vile watu wengi wanajua, ni kwamba kulikuwa na kesi kotini ambayo ilipewa orders jana, ingawaje tulipewa court orders, lakini kwa kutii hiyo court order deputy speaker hangeweza kupreside over.
The groups instituted an impeachment motion on the speaker, but Ndegwa moved to court to challenge his ouster. However, yesterday, Nakuru High Court Judge Justice Hilary Chemitei had instructed that the speaker be allowed back to resume his duties and that his official vehicle and mess be returned. He instructed Nyandarua County Commissioner and Police Commander to ensure the orders are obeyed within 48 hours.
Sasa nataka kugawanya katikati yetu ma-MCA ambao tumeshikana na ambao tunajua kazi yake mbaya ambayo anafanya. Sasa akuwe anashika mtu mmoja mmoja akimpeleka, lakini ya kwamba tunataka kumfahamisha kwamba hatuogopi hata kidogo. Atakayofanya sisi tuko tunasimama gangari, tutasimama na wenye anataka kuwafanyia, na tutaenda kotini mahali anaenda. We want to seek justice from there.
Vile anafanya, anafika pale anasema wamekatazo kwa sababu anajua
katika hii Kenya yetu ni lazima ukuwe na wale wengi, kwa sababu hakuna yeye na wafuasi wake ni watu 10 na yeye.
In his ruling, the judge also ordered that the leader of majority wa Bokengori, Deputy Speaker Zachary Jero and Clerk Elizabeth Modhoi pay a fine of 400,000 Kenyan shillings after they were found guilty of contempt of court or serve a 2-month jail term each. However, when he reported to the assembly, Speaker Derwa Wahome could not gain access to the chamber, a matter he termed as blatant disregard to the rule of law, accusing Governor Francis Kimemia of perpetuating the standoff for his own interest.
The problems within this county assembly, as all of you know, it is the governor of Nyandarua, Francis Kimemia, who is the owner of this war for his own benefit, because he does not want accountability and because he does not want oversight. And therefore, what I can assure you all is that devolution will work in Nyandarua, with or without Kimemia.
Non-compliance with the law has its consequences. We will play our part. We will not break the law. We will not break the doors. We will not play their game. We will do what we are supposed to do as true defenders of the law.
As the Speaker and members of the staff remained stranded outside the assembly, several MCAs were in the chambers ready to transact the business of the day. However, due to the prevailing standoff outside the chambers, the session was adjourned till next week.
This AP commander is here.
For TV 47, I'm Mike Kagwang.
Because they know there are 8 armed thugs.
Well, the Speaker of Nyandarua County Assembly is accusing the governor. We hosted the governor here last night on Pandit's Night. Part of the questions we asked him was his involvement, of which the governor denied. That full interview is available on all our social media platforms. Let's get to matters health, and for the first time since the vaccination exercise began in the country, the government, in partnership with private players, has licensed a vaccination center stationed in the informal settlement of Kibra. The residents who are eager to receive their jabs turned out in large numbers to take part in the exercise. Our health reporter Zainab Mohammed has more.
In a bid to beat the over 5 million vaccinations by Mashujaa Day, the government, in partnership with private players, has licensed a vaccination center stationed in the informal settlements of Kibra in Nairobi.
Leo nimekujia chanjo ya pili na nimefurahia sana vile imeletwa karibu na sisi. Nimeshagojea kwa muda, najua tunatumwa mbalimbali, lakini vile leo imekuja karibu na paltuko, tumefurahia sana.
According to the residents, they were previously forced to go up to 6 kilometers from their homes in order to receive a jab, a matter that built up vaccine hesitancy among them.
Wanasema saa ingine kama nadunga inaweza kufa. Lakini upande yangu mimi nasikia mimi nini tu kwa kliniki yangu. Nimesema iko sawa kwa maana fresa imesha kuja chini.
With close to 4 million vaccinations so far in the country, the move by the government to launch an accelerated COVID-19 vaccination campaign may just succeed, as the campaign targets to bring the vaccines closer to the people.
And that's the whole objective, is to make sure that majority of the community in Kibra get vaccinated and also get education on what the vaccine is for, so that people are not just coming and then with the doubt, because we also do a lot of clarification on COVID itself. And a lot of clarification now we are doing on the importance of vaccine. So yes, we are clarifying as much as we do the actual vaccination. There's also a lot of education campaign that we are doing.
Zainab Mohammed, 247.
Elsewhere, David Njanja Mararo, a businessman who allegedly shot and injured 2 police officers at Quiver Club in Kasarani on Thika Superhighway in July this year, wants the court to review his bail term after he failed to raise a cash bail of 5 million shillings. Mararo is seeking to be released from prison and be allowed to attend court sessions while outside the prison. Prosecution has opposed his application, arguing that nothing has changed since one of the victims is still admitted in hospital.
evidence presented, Your Honor, is a medical report of one of the victims of the alleged offense. Your Honor, you will read my submissions and you will see the place of such mini trials within this stage. The court is invited to actually be very cautious not to venture into those issues. And in this regard, Your Honor will see I've attached an authority to that respect.
So nothing has changed from what was reasonable that time to be able to move the court to lower terms. I've seen they wanted to move lower 90%. And I think the matter is very serious. This is not the only person who was injured in this incident. It was an incident which is quite inhuman. And as much as his client wants freedom, my client has also been in jail in hospital for all those things. He's not free and not likely to be free the rest of his life. So I think it is important while you review the only status we have is of the hospital bill, which have been negotiating with the previous lawyer and this lawyer. And of late, they have not been kind at all.
Let's get to some business news. And the Family Group Foundation has partnered with ADA Labs Africa in a move aimed at transforming the lives of youth. The group has set aside 5 million shillings that will be used in training 100 youths in information and communication technology skills, which is projected to transform talent to employable skills. Now, the county government of Meru has signed a memorandum of understanding with Stanbic Bank that will give cheap credit to farmers at an interest rate of 2%. Stanbic will also support value addition initiative, digital entrepreneurship and health initiatives.
Naona tu DG, His Excellency Titus Ntochio, anatazama kwa mtazamo bila kublink. Tumpigie makofi tafadhali. Asante sana. Partnership imeisha, sasa ni mari.
Na hiyo teknoloji ya kompyuta itakuwa mafunzo. Tutafunza watu vile wataweza weka maduka zao sasa kwa ile tunaita online platform. Na vile tumeona kwa zile kaunti zingine tunafanya kazi, mtu anaweza weka duka lake kwa hii mtandao, anaweza uza kwa products zake kwa hiyo mtandao.
We sell our things raw. Kama ni makadamia, tunauza matunda. Mtu mwingine anaenda anafanya value addition, he gets 10 times what the value of the macadamia was. Ndio unaona watu wanatoka China kuja kununua macadamia Meru. Do you think they are going to eat the fruits ya macadamia? We find it in China is not the macadamia you sold. It is the macadamia products which you'll be buying there. So we are saying we are very, very happy that Stanbic through this program is going to help us to the processing and adding value to our Meru products.
Kwa katika serikali kuu tuko na mpango ya kufungua vitu zinaitwa biashara centers, na tumeanza kufungua tayari. Tumefungua moja Nairobi, tumefungua moja nyingine Eldoret, Kisumu na Mombasa, and we are looking forward to coming open another one in Meru. What is biashara center? Biashara center tutakuwa ni mahali ambapo mtu akitaka kuanza biashara ama manufacturing, tunaleta institution